Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Zuzana Mukumai, and today I am here with Ivy, who will shortly introduce herself. Hello, Ivy. And we are going to talk about how to live life on your own terms. So, thank you, Ivy, for accepting the invitation. I'm so excited to have you here. And before we dive in, feel free to say hi to our listeners and tell us a bit more about who you are.
Yeah, wonderful. Good morning from Greece. My name is Ivana Ivanek. My nickname is Ivy, as you said, Susanna. Thank you for having me here this morning. My name Ivy is also like usually people who are like my best friends and my family used to call me like that, or in primary school when I was small. But it became such a big thing of my identity. So I started also using it for my professional business. And so that's why I'm Ivy. It's written with the IVY, which is in German pronounced Evie. So it's even more
Oh, okay. I didn't
exciting.
know. Sorry.
No need to be sorry. It's just you might hear both ways, Ivy and Evie.
And I laugh because as you guys who are watching, you're probably knowing that I focus on intercultural relationship and I live abroad. So I love how Ivy is surrounded by a different culture. So Ivy, you told me like you have roots like in Slovak and Serbian roots, but you grew up in Austria and you have Dutch partner and you live in Greece. So we have five countries there. So, can you tell us a bit more about your story?
Oh yeah, I happily do. It's even less complicated as you would think. So my parents are both Serbian, but they used to live in the northern part of Serbia as a Slovakian minority. So as they grew up, they learned both languages, and this was required in school, so Slovakian and Serbian. German was later an addition to it, and that also means that we have relatives in Slovakia as well. Yeah, so it goes in both ways. I was born in Serbia, so was my younger sister as well, in the end of 1980s. And that was the time where the Yugoslavian war was about to start, where Serbia was not really affected yet by then, so we didn't suffer any war consequences back then. However, my father had already business relationships to Vienna, so he was traveling a lot between Austria and Serbia. And that was also the time where they had to decide where they are going to put their kids to school eventually. So, and my mother made this conscious choice to actually leave Serbia for good, to offer us girls more opportunities, to offer us simple, like better conditions, especially because also war was about to start. But on the other hand, in Serbia, it was difficult living as it is till now, and not everybody has access to university, and would have been very, yeah, difficult, and our lives would be pretty much predicted. Yeah, so I'm till now so thankful that my mother made this choice to take two not very easy kids to a completely foreign country and to set up a complete new life. Yeah, so as we moved there, also my brother was born already in Vienna, so all three kids to kindergarten, to school, arranging visas because it's not the European Union. We started playing handball, all three, going for tournaments abroad and training camps. So my mother was rearranging visas at all times. Yeah, so she was busy in offices to make this thing possible for us. However, later on, she also decided, okay, this is going to be our home. This is our home. We felt safe and happy there at that time, and we applied for the Austrian citizenship. And that's also why I personally call Vienna and Austria, like I call myself Austrian. Like as soon as we moved there, I got pretty much also like disconnected from the Serbian culture, and that's why I also consider myself Austrian. 4 years ago, I made my dream come true to finally live by the sea, which was at all times a big, big wish. I always wanted to live by the sea. That's why I choose, or Greece chose me actually. And although I came to Greece and wanted to start a completely new life, to reinvent myself and to be without a partner, because I came from a very difficult relationship before. And I thought I'm not ready for it at all. It took me only 2 months to fall in love. And that was actually my boyfriend now, who is initially from the Netherlands, but he was living here already, and we met each other at work at the same company.
As they say, the best pill for a relationship which didn't work out is a new relationship. So especially in the moments when you don't expect it, and maybe we will get to it later. But I wanted to ask you, because earlier when we talked, you said that Austria is a wonderful place to grow up if you fit. And you said you consider Austria home, but you also mentioned that you kind of felt like you are not fitting entirely, and that if I understood well, it was also one of the reasons why you wanted to follow your dream and move to a country with a seaside, and that's how you ended up in Greece. So I just wanted to ask, like, why did you feel like you are not fitting maybe 100%, or how was it like growing up? You mentioned this disconnect, like you got disconnected from the Serbian culture because you came there very young. So if you can talk and share a bit more about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was feeling so bad of ever saying this, and now I'm saying it even in public because it's just such a big part of my story. But I never dared to say that Austria wasn't my country, really. Because first of all, my mother made all these efforts to make this life for us possible, which I'm forever thankful, but it was difficult to say like, oh, I kind of don't like it, thank you, but no. And on the other hand, Vienna especially is a safe, clean city. Schools are for free. University is almost for free. It's affordable and accessible to everyone. You can choose whether you're going to live in a house, in an apartment, you can have pets, you can raise kids, there are job opportunities, there are green spaces. So it's a perfect social security system. Yeah, so it covers you all. It's amazing life. I never saw it that simple than there. Yeah. So I always felt a little bit guilty of saying like I don't fit there, right? Because people are like, yeah, but what do you want more? Huh? Like, what is that? What do you want? What are you looking for? However, when I started school, like primary school, I loved. In the times of high school, I already started feeling a little bit that I'm a little bit more adventurous, and I'm a little bit more risky. However, Vienna, I don't know, I'm speaking now about 15 to 20 years ago, so I'm not entirely sure whether it's still like that, but Vienna was very conservative. Yeah, you finish high school. If you are the smart kid, yeah, you go to university, and after that you climb a career ladder, preferably in a big known company. So this is something parents want to see for their kids. This is what society wants to see. Everything a little bit off of the path is either risky or you shouldn't be doing this, or so people are projecting their fears a lot on you. So back then I didn't know that their fears projected on me, but I just tried to fit as much as I could. I was afraid of judgment. I wanted to do my parents right. So I went to high school, and already there I saw like, okay, why am I even doing this? And I missed this guidance that somebody helps me find out what I actually want, but because this was not it. I was learning about bacteria and viruses, and I didn't know what for I'm doing this. And this is just one example to mention. And I have a wonderful friend I used to go to school with, and I'm extremely proud of her that she, with the age of 16, managed to say, you know what, screw high school, and she chose for a school where they offer a vocational education. So this is basically you block school, you find a job, it's in blocks, and she used to learn a profession while she was finishing school. However, society didn't like to see this because this was something that people used to talk bad about, and it was only for the kids who don't manage school, they go there. And she is an extremely smart woman. She is so incredibly smart, And she just made it the choice. And I was like sitting in my corner admiring her, because I actually wanted this as well, to find something that is more fulfilling than just sitting in school, day in, day out, not knowing what I'm doing. Anyway, I went to university. I dropped university after the first semester because, of course, I studied economy. I went for business, European business. Everybody was doing European business, right? The successful people do business. So I studied, oh my God. I did not manage very soon. I found out, okay, this is not it. 4 years later, I started, eventually I did my fitness and health coach certificate. And then I started to be self-employed. I failed on every corner I could fail because nobody was guiding me again, because this was too risky. This is a job, like what you're gonna do in your future as a sports and fitness trainer, because people had their imagination that I'm gonna sit in a gym class 8 hours a day. Yeah. And the coaching aspect of people, or helping people to a better life, to better habits, was not really seen. And yeah, so lots of judgment. It was too risky because I don't get a fixed salary. And I mean, I drained myself pretty much because back then I was young. I didn't know how to network. I didn't know the value of networking, nor did I ask for help, being afraid to be judged. And I also didn't want to tell anyone that I have the feeling I'm failing in my business strategy, because failing was not allowed. Yeah, I had the feeling I'm doing the right thing, but then not really. So, and nobody there to pick me up. And then I had to go back eventually to a normal job again, to a normal like employee job. And this was something where I was like, okay, never again. I have to live here. I feel so trapped. And also the wish, wanting to live by the sea, was always something that I never, ever dared to tell, except for my best friends. And they were looking at me like, are you sure? So after breaking up this relationship, I did not find purpose, not in the job, because I had the feeling I'm working for someone else and I have to climb a ladder I don't want to climb. And I'm doing something that it's not me. There's like no space for for creating. There is no space to fulfilling my purpose. So I thought going to another country and escaping this strict structure and these rules and this expectation might help me. Yeah. So I went on a holiday to visit a friend here in Greece after breaking up this relationship. It was 2018, and I just felt at home. I was on her place. She went to work with her partner. I made my coffee. I sit down on this balcony. I was like, oh my God, it feels like I would be living here already. And this thought, I think, just started opening up spaces. Everything started aligning, and I got a job offer, which I declined at first because I knew that everybody will judge it. Like, you are going to work for a diving school in a foreign country. Like, you're going back to tourism. What do you expect? And it was really like this. Yeah. So people were not really happy about my choice. However, I did it, and I'm happy I did, because although I left a structure to go back in another structure, yes, to go to again to be an employee, I don't believe it would have been possible for me to leave the country, to settle in Greece, and to set up a business at the same time. It would have been very overwhelming. So I'm happy that I got this job. But along the way, with opening up all these spaces in a foreign country, learning new cultures, learning new possibilities, new people, I slowly had the space to actually decide for myself and being like, you know what, you are adventurous, you are a risk taker, let's go, let's do this. And in the beginning of this year, I, for good, quit my employed job, and I started creating the life I actually wanted to, but it was a long journey.
Yeah, no, I completely relate because, yes, I'm from Czech Republic. It's just next to Austria, and not that long ago, like it was the same place, right? So the way you are describing, like how you are supposed to do certain things, go to high school, after high school, the university, that's the same way I grew up. I think we are probably very same age. So as you said, maybe it's a bit different now, both in Czech Republic and Austria, but I feel like I would say the same thing exactly about the experience and how the judgment comes when you start doing something different. Because I remember I wanted to study biology. I love flowers. I wanted to study botany. I did all the biology competitions at high school. I won them all. I didn't have to do the entrance exams for the university. I started, and after 2 months, I announced to everybody that I am finishing the university because I was not happy. And it was a huge shock for everybody because, like, I was the Susanna who always had the best grades, who always like had the best results, and now after 2 months, that was seen like a huge failure. And I went to work to a vegetarian restaurant for like 8 months. Then I start traveling. I started university. I enjoyed later on. So like I feel like I can really relate like how you felt and how hard it can be to break out of the customs. Like I always say, I was kind of the black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
I think you can relate to that. And
Yeah.
it's interesting because, like, yeah, we come from two European countries, neighboring ones. And now you are in Greece, and I had ex-partner from Italy. So, like, often, like, Europe is seen like kind of one, like, uh,
Bubble.
continent which has very similar things, but there are actually cultural differences in there. And you mentioned that like you were comparing also Austria together with Netherlands, that is kind of similar and very different from Greece. Do you want to share a bit more about that, and also how you and your boyfriend actually felt about your countries of origin that you both of you ended up in Greece?
Yeah. So definitely, I got to experience the Dutch culture, from the Netherlands, from my boyfriend. So I haven't been in touch with that at all. It's very similar to Austria. On top of that, they have a extreme structured work ethic. Dutch people love to work. This is really something that it's like it's even more high school, university, a good job, a good house. Then you marry a family, and then you buy the next house. Yeah, so it's really in they learn to invest, to work with money in a very young age, and to how to create money. Which this mindset I missed in Austria. Like I never learned it. This is something I had to teach
Mhm.
myself. Um, but I do also believe that working that way or living this way also it is it needs habits, otherwise you don't succeed. If you don't cultivate these habits, you won't have this life. So I learned a lot from it, but also fitting in there is very difficult. Like I had bulimia, so it took me 3 years to fight this eating disorder. So and still now I have the issue. If somebody sets me at the table at 6 p.m. and tells me eat, everything starts like everything. I'm like a rebellion because I'm not hungry. I invested so many thousands of euros in my therapy and in myself to teach myself that I don't have to eat at 6 p.m., but I eat when I'm hungry. So this makes it very difficult to again fit in there. And it's literally, you can see the country calming down between 5:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. because everybody's eating. And it's such a, I mean, lovely. It's family time. People are living up to that. But to fit in there is very difficult for me, especially for many reasons. Because I also like cultivated myself. Like I work when I feel like working. If I don't have appointments, I schedule it very freely because I like to go to the beach when the weather is nice, right? And when it's cold and dark, I like to work. So 6 p.m. is a difficult time for me in general. And yeah, same in Vienna. So it was structure rules. You needed like about 2 weeks to agree with your friends to go out for a coffee because everybody's so busy. Everybody's minding their own business, and you need to schedule and be like, oh, what about Wednesday in 2 weeks? Oh no, I have this. Sorry. Oh no, because probably then I'll be tired. So it's all scheduled. What I have experienced here in Greece is something very different. These people, it's a touristic area, so the villages and the towns here on the island on Crete, they earn their money within 6 months for the whole year. This is the season, so they literally work Monday to Sunday, day and night. Yeah, so this is their ethic. Pretty impressive, if you ask me. But If you come to a friend who is a restaurant owner, say, or a bar owner, and you just come along unannounced, they will find the time for you to sit down, to have a glass of water or even a coffee, to not just have a small talk, but to actually invest some time in this relationship. I have friends I've made here, I can just call spontaneously and be like, well, I'm done working. How are you? Are you up for a walk? People will drive down to the village and we go for a walk. Or 2 p.m. afternoon, like, hey, are you up for a beach? And the people who can make the time, they will come to the beach. And there is also a culture that is like, whenever you go to a beach bar or you go somewhere, you will just find people enjoying their after work. So they don't make appointments. They just go there because you always find someone you want to hang out with. And it's so much freedom. It's so lovely. It takes off. I don't know. I don't know. For me myself, it gave me just so much space to be, to meet, to meet different kind of people and to learn something completely different than I was used to have. And this is so much enjoyable. And what I love the most are these parties. Like if you are invited to a birthday party, a Greek birthday party, it's similar like in Serbia. So they invite you, they say 8 o'clock because they eat late. So dinner is 8, 9 p.m. because it's quite hot. But you can be sure that at 8 o'clock, nothing's going to happen yet because everybody will be arriving slowly, grabbing their drinks, music will be playing, people having chats. And eventually they set up the food. There is like always so much food for everyone. And you sit, you eat, and they sit and eat forever. Yeah, as much as you want. It's like unlimited if you eat or if you don't eat. And music is being played. There is always an open end. You can even go and come again if this is something that suits you. Yeah, so it's very lovely compared to Austria, where if there's a party planned, then the food is being calculated. How many people do you have? So they need that amount of this and that amount of this. And you know, if it's empty, then the bowl is empty. Yeah, but in Greece, the food never ends, the party never ends, the socials never ends, and it's just so loose and yeah, it's extremely lovely. I just learned to love this so much.
Mm. No, I'm smiling because it's like it reminded me of Italy, and as somebody
Mm-hmm.
used to joke that basically Italy, Spain, and Greece is part of Africa because it's similar, like the way you describe, like it's similar here. And now when I come to visit Czech Republic, I'm kind of like I just want to show up somewhere, and it's weird to plan appointments 2 weeks ahead. And I'm used like also how the base like I just call like, oh, do you want to go for coffee now? And sometimes I do it even online to some of my friends. So sometimes they're surprised, like it's like I'm having coffee right now. Do you want to chat? So I really love also this kind of culture because it's more, I think, spontaneous and it's more fun. I visited Greece just once, I think for 2 or 3 weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
I just love like you can just sit for a coffee and start talking to the old man next to you, even if you don't speak the same language, and it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
but I also I'm happy that we are talking about it because as I talk with women who have partners from a different culture, I have lots of clients who have partners from Africa or Asia, and some like people think like if I have partner from Europe, it's not really different, but it really is, even if the difference might be not that big, but there are still differences as we have just seen. Like the way of life in Austria or Netherlands is completely different than the way of life in Italy, Greece. I remember one couple, I think Czech and German couple, and still there were lots of differences. I
Yeah,
remember the main thing they were struggling with was about the food. And these are like countries next to each other, so the cultural differences are always there. And even if we are actually from the same country, you can experience like lots of differences, and it's so important to learn how to go about it.
yeah.
And yeah, so it's I'm very happy that we chatted about this. And yeah, basically we talked about it already a bit, like that you said, like at some point you decided to start living like on your own terms, and you were talking about how you were sitting at the veranda of your friend drinking coffee and feeling like, oh, this is like my home. Is there something like which really took you to make that step? Like maybe there are some women who are watching this interview and they are not so happy in the country they live in, the job they have, and they have this dream, but there is something holding them back. So was there something which like make you to make that one step and start living the life like the way you wanted it?
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's a difficult thing because I had so many things that were holding me back for so long. And there are a few things I want to mention. One thing is, if your body, like the intuition thing, we forget how to work with our intuition. Like, because everything we feel and things are feeling right, as soon as somebody says like no, our intuition becomes like so small, crawls back, and you're like, okay, I'm never gonna show up again. Yeah, it's really like, listen to yourself. Like, from in my case, my everything was screaming for 10 years that I wanted to live by the sea. It was not a clear picture, it was a big wish. And if something is so strong and so present at all times, and then you finally arrive at a place, and then again everything screams like, oh my god, this is good, this is good. Yeah, at the same time the fears will come, and everybody else will come like, no, this is not good, this is not good. Yeah, so yes, it is scary, every step we make, every decision we make, because it's unpredictable. You can't really tell, like, am I gonna like it? And then if you don't like it, of course you have to go back home or to the country where you come from, which is again associated with failure and judgment, because everybody will tell you like, oh, you see, I told you so. So these are all fears I had as well. And but for a reason, this time, like 2018, this calling became so strong, and I just allowed myself, not to say immediately I go, but I just allowed myself to think about it. How could it be, to picture it clearly for myself? What was before just dreaming around, and how I lay on the beach, which is like unrealistic because you also need a job and a life. I started thinking like, okay, how would work look here for me? How would my life look here for me? Imagining myself going there. And this encouraged me. And because I saw possibilities, I looked behind the fear and I saw possibilities. It was true that in Greece there are supermarkets. You can go to the supermarket and get your food. They have apartments you can rent. Oh wow, works the same as in Vienna. Oh look, not even so scary anymore, right? There are people who like having coffee with you. Amazing. I can make friends. You know, I started opening up these things that seem so clear at one hand, but on the other hand, once you have these fears, you don't see it anymore. Everything just becomes, like blurry. And as I opened up to these thoughts, there was a job. All of a sudden, I got a job offer. Yeah. So I'm encouraging everybody, whoever has a wish to do something extraordinary, more adventurous, and a little bit risky, look at it. Look at it. Like, how could this work for you? There is no wrong or right. There is no guide to happiness in that sense. Yeah, it's just, how could it work for you? And the moment you start looking at it, the universe starts working for you, and everything starts actually aligning. And then you have to just take one little step. You have to be brave and allow yourself to see the opportunities. It doesn't mean that you have to take them immediately, but to see them, to acknowledge them, to give them a value, because this is the direction where you want to move to. And yeah, I think, and once this is everything like starts happening, then you have to make a decision. It's a one-time decision, and you have to make this decision because nobody will ever make it for you. And as I have done this all alone, not like being afraid of being judged and being afraid of failing, today I would encourage anybody who wants to make the step, seek help. Like there are coaches, there are people who have made these experiences, but you will never find out if you don't open up yourself to this topic. So I dare rather not to talk about it and to be like, rather calm, let just disappear and then do my life. And I would have had such a better time, an easier time, and I would have enjoyed the process more if I would have taken somebody who would help me, somebody who has been there already.
Yeah.
So
I'm
absolutely.
100% with you on this. And as you were saying, like the fears and like all the thoughts we have, like we can call it the inner critic or judge. I use that a lot also in my coaching. That's the book behind. No, this way. Yes, this book, about like how the inner critic, it's like criticizes us constantly. And as you said, like just do the step even if you are scared. And I think this is the main difference, like we are all scared, like not coaches are scared, like we are all scared, we don't know if it's the right decision, but the difference is that we act on it, right? Like even if you don't know, you still do the step and you try to reach your dream. And I love what you mentioned, it's like that you start looking how the life could look there. So you have some dream and you are somewhere, like you are in point A, you want to get to point B. And instead of just dreaming about it, like to make the dream happen, you actually you have to make a plan. And
Yeah.
it's small steps, like looking
Really
for
small things.
apartment, thinking how you will find friends, but that's like the power is in the action.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And once you start also taking these little actions, the fear starts disappearing. It goes slowly into a direction. Oh, look, it works. And then the fear gets smaller and smaller as you go. So this is something I could really experience. And I loved, actually, looking back, it was the best decision I could ever make in my life.
Yeah. And it's also what I wanted to mention, like how you mentioned you had the dream of like 10 years living at the seaside, and you mentioned that we are usually not used to listen to our intuitions, to our dreams. We just kind of disregard it. And sometimes it's funny how the universe works for us, because I always had the dream to go to Mongolia. I don't know why, I just wanted to go there. And I ended up in Africa. Like I never wanted to go to Africa, and hello, here I am living in Africa. But actually, I managed to at some point I managed to get a job in Mongolia, and it was funny because I got the job in Mongolia, so I could get a job in Zambia. Like it's a long story, but that's why I lived in Mongolia for 6 months, so my dream came through, and that's how universe works in strange ways. Sometimes we don't know how, but like it's important, I think, to listen to our dreams and to do things towards it. And yeah,
Absolutely.
Ivy, thank you so much for sharing. And before we end the interview, if ladies are watching and they like what you are saying, can you tell us more about like what you do? If there is some way to work with you, or where people can find you and follow you?
Oh, yeah. So when this year, it was April when I have quit my job, my safe employer job. It was also a decision I had to make, which was not very easy. But then, for a reason, again, the universe started working for me, and I said, okay, what can I do right now, right here, with the skills I have to make a living? And it took me literally 3 to 4 weeks to establish my first business, which was I'm teaching German as a foreign language for adults who want to establish a new life in the German-speaking area. So it's advanced German speakers, or if people need a better German for a new job or a new position in their company, interview processes, etc. And this was up and running, and I had earnings again within a month. And this encouraged me so much to say, like, okay, wow, this is actually what it is meant to be, because everything you do, everything that comes so easy, yeah, is meant to be. No doubt. And as I was teaching, I found myself always in my actually my profession that I used to learn as a fitness and health coach. That I started coaching people in their time management, in their habits, in order to learn better, to learn quicker, to organize their times, to find their whys they learn, because always when we know our why, things are easier, like when we know why we're doing things. And this is how actually Your Fabulous Journey was born. And I'm opening my first coaching spaces in the beginning of November. And I'm working with women to help them to stop procrastinating and start living their dream life, and to find energy and time to establish a life and all the things that are important to them.
Congratulations, it's super exciting. Like, I was happy to hear when you mentioned it to me before we started the interview. And I completely agree. It's so important because also, like, procrastination is something I have been, I mean, everybody deals with procrastinations. And when I had the full-time job, then I realized like how like those years of working in a full-time job actually created bad habits, because when you're in full-time job and your job is done, you know, like you're done, then you can just be on Facebook or whatever. And then it's actually like, when you think of it, like, I don't want to be on Facebook, right? So but like, I think often like being in employment, it gives us really bad habits. And as you mentioned, if we work for ourselves, that's when we have to create really good habits. So I think it's super
Yeah.
important what you are doing. And I will share the links under the videos, like how the ladies can find you if they are interested in joining you for the coaching, or just following you maybe on Instagram or somewhere. So I will add all the links.
Yeah, I just recently last week set up a new Instagram page, so it's still pretty fresh and pretty new. But I will send this to you so you can put it below in the description. So there, I'm happy if you follow. There will be like lots of useful content as well, things you can just grab and implement in your life. I will be sharing a lot of my own experience. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. And I'm always open for a get to know, to see whether we click for work. This is very important to me, because I said it for myself that I will always choose the people I like to work with. So there needs to be a deep connection. And as well for my clients, they also can choose whether they want to work with me.
Yeah. Okay, so you will find all the links there. And thank you so much, Ivy, for joining us today. It was super interesting. And if some of you amazing ladies who are watching, if you have any questions, just write it in the comments. We will try to do our best to respond. And yeah, have all wonderful day, wonderful Thursday, Friday, Monday, whichever day you are watching. And I will see you next time.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, Susanna. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you as well for coming.
Thank you.